Hello and welcome to the Law Podcast, brought to you by the University of Stirling Law Society. I am your host, Jedd France. Today I am joined by our President, Claire Welsh, and our Social Secretary, Holly Conway, to discuss all of our events from the past few months and wrap up the first academic year of the podcast. So, hello everyone, welcome back to the show. We're back for somewhat of like a sad episode because it's the last episode of the semester, which is, like I say, it's a little bit sad, but not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to a bit of a break over the summer. So today I'm joined by Holly and Claire, who I'm not going to get to do any special intros because they've been on the podcast numerous times between them, so there's no need for us to go back into any in-depth introductions. But I'm joined today by Holly and Claire. We're just going to go back over this semester, all of our events, all of our socials, and just really discuss all of the stuff which we've been doing over the past few months. Now, like I say, no real introductions, but I do want to ask both our guests, first of all, how their exams are going, but then also a little fun question to get us started, and that is, what is one thing you're hoping to either do or achieve over the summer? So we'll go to Claire first.
Oh, okay, this is exciting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, a bit different. Exams are going okay. I've done 2 out of 3, so got my last one, which is M&A, and it's my favourite module, so I'm quite happy that it's last. Over the summer, I think I'm basically just going to try and hit a good balance between relaxing and then obviously planning the next amazing year of the Law Society. And I've got a placement with St Mason's as well, so I think that'll probably be the highlight.
Yeah, it's going to be another busy summer probably for you, Claire. Got a lot going on, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about your kind of work placement with St Mason's. I think it's going to be really interesting. As someone who's gone into third year, I'm interested to hear how it goes and kind of what is involved. So yeah, it should be a great summer for you. What about you, Holly? What are you looking to do over the summer?
Well, in terms of exams, I'm one of the lucky ones. I only had one exam and it was on the second day of the exam diet, so I'm finished. So I've been enjoying myself, relaxing, having a great time, making you all jealous. But yeah, in terms of the summer, it sounds kind of like lame, I guess, but like I just want to enjoy myself. Like, see, the past 3 years, basically since I've been able to work, I've spent every summer just like working flat out, like 40 hours, like just trying to make money when things have been normal. Yeah. And I think like the whole pandemic has made me realise that I kind of just need to like take my summers a bit more to like enjoy them, because obviously it's time off, and obviously once we go into full-time work, like, you know, solicitors or whatever, we're not going to get that time again. So obviously I will be working, and I will be working about 25 hours a week or whatever, but I do want to take time to enjoy myself, so that's my plan for the summer. Work hard, party harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, to be honest, because like, especially this past year, I feel like university combined with society stuff, the few months that you have, you know, the first semester, you have the break at Christmas and you have another semester, those few months of the semester are really full on. And now that we're getting towards the end, I'm just like so ready to just relax for a little bit. Obviously, like Claire said, we're still going to be planning, we're still going to have stuff in the works to get us set up for the new year in September. But like Holly says as well, I do want to take some time for myself to chill out, go a little bit MIA for a little while, and just kind of try to take some time for myself and chill out. In terms of for me, I don't really have any plans for the summer. I'm just looking to get these exams out of the way, then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be great regardless. So moving on to what we're here for today, I've got a breakdown of all our events and socials that we've had over the past few months, and similar to the semester recap podcast that we had at the end of last year, it's a lot to get through, so we'll focus more on some than others. But kicking us off was the first event in January, 26th of January, which was my first organised event with Ashurst Advance, which was a really good one. It was a CV workshop. We had Carolyn and a couple of other speakers across. It was really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good experience for me to put that on and obviously we've been sponsored by Ashurst Advance subsequently, and Carolyn's been a dream to work with, and she was really good on the night alongside Sarah and Jenny, who came and spoke to us as well. And it was just a really good kind of laid back but also informative event. And yeah, it's probably something that we'll kick on with next year as well for any first years coming in, because I think it's quite a good one to get the first years involved with, just to try and get their CV up to scratch. But yeah, I don't think we need to go into too much detail about that. It was great, it was fun, and it was kind of a good way to kick off the second semester. So moving on to probably the biggest one of the semester was the 1st of February. So there's two parts to this. This was the mental health conference, which we had, which Claire organised. I'll kick it over to Claire in a minute to speak about this. But it was also the event which kick-started our Move for Mental Health fundraiser for Sam H, who have actually recently published our video on their social media, which was great to see. So Claire, first of all, mental health conference, what was the thinking behind this, and what was the motivation behind this?
So we'd had the first mental health conference last semester, and it had gone really, really well, and it was quite a popular event, and I think we realised that we should kind of make use of the online platform, because it makes events like that actually run a lot easier, and I think perhaps for people it's slightly more kind of comforting to do it behind a screen rather than standing up in a room. So yeah. I knew that I definitely wanted to run another one, but we kind of wanted to change the theme a little bit, just because I'd found that at the last event it had been primarily females talking. So I decided to kind of try and get mainly male speakers, and it went really, really well. And I think one of the kind of highlights for me definitely was one of our lecturers, Guido, came along and spoke. And I think that was really, really good, because it gave a totally different dynamic having a lecturer come and explain his experiences, because I think it just helps validate how you feel, and you know that it's not just you, it's not just students, it is literally everyone that struggles with it. So I thought it was a great way to kickstart the fundraiser that ended up being so successful, and I think we raised £1,000, which was great for the charity, but even more than that, it definitely brought the society together a lot more, I think, which for me was the best part of it too.
Yeah, it was amazing. So the mental health conference, first and foremost, was a really good event for me, because I know we've had a podcast about this, Claire, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I was a speaker at it, and it was a privilege to be asked, and I really enjoyed doing it. It's quite strange to say I enjoyed doing it, but you know, it's just one of those things that it's something that I'm passionate about, and I think it's something that we're passionate about across the whole committee and the whole society in general. So it was a really good event, and like Claire says, having Guido there to speak about it from a lecturer's standpoint, you know, because obviously we sit with these guys on calls and we listen to their lectures, and even some lecturers have books and stuff, and it's easy to feel like these people have it all together, you know, and they don't have any problems, so to speak. But to hear it from a lecturer, it was great, and it really just kind of validate my own feelings as well. So on to the fundraiser. I'm going to kick it over to Holly, because Holly won the weekly champion at some point, which was great to see. And Holly was one of my favourite participants in the fundraiser, simply because on Strava we always got nice photos of the two dogs, which was great. So Holly, how did you find the fundraiser and overall?
I really enjoyed it. I had started the Couch to 5k in January, before obviously we planned the whole fundraiser, but that kind of helped, because it meant that I could obviously not just walk, that I was running as well, so it definitely helped me to get my kind of miles up. But I just thought it was really great. Like, obviously this semester was quite stressful, and again online, which I think also kind of makes it a hard experience, and it was nice to have a reason and an excuse to get out of the house, particularly because quite a lot of, well, actually all of the fundraiser was done when we were in our second or I'm struggling to count the number of lockdowns we've been in now, but the second or third or whatever. So like there wasn't really much reason otherwise for you to be going out, and I think it's so important for people to be exercising and things, and it links well because exercise is so good for your mental health. So the fact that we were exercising raising money for a mental health charity, I think the link was really strong. And yeah, I thought it was great. It was difficult some days because of the weather, I have to say. The February, March time was maybe not the best in terms of the storms and the snow. I remember Neil and Adrian and Tillicoochee with snow up to their knees.
Yeah.
So, yeah, apart from that though, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I think we can blame Claire for that. I think we can blame Claire for putting it over February and March, because Claire said on the podcast when she came on, she was like, I'm going to make it in February and March so that we're going to get some challenging weather, and it makes people step up and you have to still go out regardless of the circumstances. And yeah, it was tough at times. I had some weeks which were better than others, not going to lie. Had weeks where I was really into it, other weeks where I was like, I have no motivation. But that's a good thing with it being, like 8.5 weeks long. You're going to have dips in form and stuff. So I thought it was really, really good. And like Claire mentioned, £1,000 for a great cause. It's not every day that we do that. So it was amazing, and something that I'm really proud that we put on. So yeah, that was amazing. Moving on to the 3rd of February, which was our Netflix party watch along. Now, I'm going to kick it over to Holly, because Holly has been an ever-present at the socials, and I think this was actually the first social that I missed, which is not something I'm proud of, so I can't actually say how it went because I wasn't there. So Holly, you can tell us exactly how it went.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So we made a poll of 3 different kind of legal related documentaries that are on Netflix to kind of see what people wanted to watch. So it was the documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG, I think is what it was called. But like, obviously I know who she is, and I know a bit about, that she's a Supreme Court judge and whatever, but it was so interesting to learn about her life. And I think particularly because I'm a woman, obviously there are still a lot of inequalities that we experience just in general life, but not on the same level as maybe like 40-50 years ago. And it was just so crazy to see like how different it was back then, and how hard it was, and what an amazing achievement it was for her to get to where she got to, because of how many obstacles and barriers were put in her way, and all the amazing work that she did for like minorities and women, people who were discriminated against by their workplaces or by the state and whatever else, and like how she helped them. I knew of her, but I just didn't understand the full extent of her story and just how incredible she was.
Yeah, I think it's a good different type of social for us to put on, because previously it was more focused around kind of like pub quizzes or just nights of us sitting on a Zoom call, just chatting, playing different games and whatever. But to sit down with your friends, different members, and just watch the same documentary, I think it's a good idea, and it's another kind of benefit to using Zoom, as opposed to all being in one place. And obviously we couldn't do it in person at the time, even if we wanted to. So I think it was really interesting. It was actually I know we got some good feedback for it, so maybe that's something that we can kick on with in the future. So also at the beginning of February it's not an event, but it was something which we managed to secure for the society. So it was the Commercial Law Academy. Now this is something that is put together by Jake Sugar over at the City Career Series, and yeah, we've worked with Jake a couple of times. We know Neil, our previous vice president, had a good relationship with Jake and managed to secure us a good discount for Commercial Law Academy subscriptions for our members who actually got it for free. So it was really interesting. It's something that I've used sporadically. I'm not going to lie, it's not something that I've used intensely. Obviously I'm still in my second year, so it's not something that I'm looking to spend hours at right now, but I have kind of dabbled in the different kind of webinars and seminars that are on there, and it's really good. So if anyone has access to it via us, I would definitely recommend pursuing it, because it does look like a really, really good tool. And like we say, it was free for our members, which is an amazing resource to have at absolutely no cost. So yeah, massive respect and props to Neil for getting that deal over the line. Now, moving on to the 8th of February. So the beginning of February was obviously very busy for us. I don't know how we managed to put all this together whilst also getting those miles in for the fundraiser. But it was the virtual Cluedo event. So kick it over to Claire. Claire, how did this event go?
This was actually one of my favourite events. It was really fun. I basically made a Cluedo board like on a Word document and sent people round like little character profiles. And I made it all relevant to like the Stirling Law School. So I think that was kind of the fun part, because obviously we were guessing which one of our lecturers had fake murdered someone. So it was just a bit of light-hearted fun, to be fair, and I think it was the way that I've set it up, it means that you could play it again really, really easily, because you just send people different cards and change it slightly. So I think it's actually quite a good resource to have now, because if next year Holly ever wants to do it, I've got everything right there. But yeah, I think everybody that played it enjoyed it, and Holly obviously won, so
Oh,
so
I
she
did
can't
say
say she
not
didn't.
bad.
I did. I was the winner. I guessed when actually nobody else knew. So I don't know what that says about my legal. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I should become a private detective. Maybe
Maybe.
I'm in the wrong profession. Who knows?
If you fancy a career change, Holly, that's something that you can pursue once you graduate.
If any detectives are listening, then you know where I
Yeah,
am.
give her a job. Give her a little placement to start her off, and give her a job on the side. She'll be great at it. But yeah, I think that's just another example of us managing to find different ways to create different social events for our members throughout lockdown. I think it's something that we've really excelled at, and it's something that we've had a lot of praise for from other societies around the campus in terms of how we've managed to come together and kind of utilise the online space to bring our members together and really kind of collaborate and connect despite the obvious physical restrictions. So yeah, another amazing social organised by Claire, who absolutely excelled in that role. And is continuing to excel as president. So moving on to 2 days later, again, 10th of February, like February was mental, absolutely mental. It was the Legal Aid Conference. So I'll just take this one individually. I don't think we need to go into too much detail about it. It was a really interesting event. We had some different speakers along from different kind of areas in the legal industry, and we also ran this in conjunction with a fundraiser for Citizens Advice Bureau. So it was a really interesting event. It was good to sit through for a couple of hours and hear from different people, and the whole kind of legal aid challenge, because we know there's been lots of cuts to that in recent years. So it was just interesting to hear from professionals who have to work with SLAB on a kind of day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So yeah, I thought it was really interesting. It's not something that I've delved too much into at university, so it was kind of good to kind of hear about that different side of the legal profession. So a week later was the 17th of February, which was the Bake Off. Now, this was amazing. I loved it. I know the three of us were there. We were baking cookies. Claire sent us across the recipe, the ingredients. It was amazing. Now, I'll kick it over to Holly first. Holly, how did you enjoy it? And more importantly, how did your cookies come out?
I really enjoyed it. I'm quite an avid baker. It was something that I actually took up during lockdown. Before that, I kind of just assumed for some reason that I couldn't bake, which, let me tell you, is not true. I'm actually a very good baker. So my cookies turned out really well. I got my mum to judge them for me. Jedd and Claire will remember, and she was very impressed by them. So, but yeah, I think it's just another example of us just being very versatile in terms of like the social events that Claire came up with, because they were all just like very different. And I think for obviously, it was a shame it wasn't very well attended, but like for do you know, it's an opportunity for people to try something that they might not have tried before, because obviously baking isn't something that everybody has done before.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed it because baking is not something that I've done much of across my whole life. Even when I was a child, I didn't really bake very much, so it was interesting for me to kind of dabble in it. And I'm not gonna lie, the cookies came out quite well. Am I gonna take credit for it? Not really. It was all Angelica's doing. I just sat there and just kind of enjoyed it, but it was good because, like Holly said, it wasn't very well attended, which was a bit upsetting. But at the same time, having 5 people there, myself, Angelica, Claire, Holly and Ewan, it was a nice little small group where we just had a bit of fun, had a laugh, and ultimately enjoyed some nice cookies, which was really nice, and it's something that I really enjoyed as well. So yeah, another great event put on. So yeah, moving on to, we're into March now, so we're getting closer to the present day. So 3rd of March was our collab with the Sexual Health Society here at Stirling. So we're not going to go into too much detail about this. This was our old president Ewan's doing it. It was an event he put on with the Sexual Health Society, and we had some really good feedback from it. I know Angelica went, she really enjoyed it, and yeah, I think it was just something that went down really, really well. And again, it's just something that we haven't really done before, and it was a good insight into another part of the kind of legal industry and stuff. So it was interesting. It was nice. So yeah, moving on again. The next day, we literally had an event the next day, which is crazy. Now this was the Alternative Careers event, which again I'll just briefly mention because we have some other ones later on that I'd like to put more detail into. I don't want to keep everyone here all day. So Alternative Careers event, a really interesting event. We had our own lecturer, Wissam Aboud, from here in Stirling, who was speaking about what it's like being a lecturer and how to get into it, which I thought was really interesting. And Sam is someone that I get along with anyway, so it was nice to just kind of hear a different aspect of his work and kind of how he came to be in that position that he's found himself in now. In Stirling, we also had people from the police, we had people from the ALS, which is the Army Legal Services, which was just a really broad range of different careers that you can go into with a law degree. I feel like when you study the LLB, you're kind of tunnel vision, sort of speak, when you just look at being a solicitor. But really, if you take a step back, there's a wide variety of different things you can do with your degree. So I found it interesting. As someone who isn't sure whether I want to be a solicitor or not, it was something which I really enjoyed taking part in and ultimately helping organise. And I thought it was just something that was really beneficial. So yeah, and props to Neil again for helping put that on. It was something which was really interesting. And again, roughly about a week later was the 10th of March, which was virtual bingo. Now this is somewhat of a favourite of mine in terms of the socials, not gonna lie. So Claire, back over to you. How do you find the virtual bingos and how hard is it to organise it? Is it alright?
Do you know what? It's actually one of the easiest things to organise
Oh,
because
nice.
it's literally just like an online kind of software that you can use. And I just think it's always really fun. And I suppose it's one of those things that, virtually transfers quite well because it's not that, I mean, it's the exact same. It's just that we're all sitting in our own houses rather than doing it in a hall together.
Yeah.
But I think it was quite fun because I'm not convinced that had life been normal, I don't think we would have had a bingo night. So it was quite fun to kind of take advantage of the circumstances and do something a bit different.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to kind of play those styles of games. The competitive edge comes out. We're all very much gripped to the Zoom call, listening to Claire call the numbers out. It's very interesting. It's something that even when we go back in person events, it's something which I'd still like to do. Not gonna lie, because it is fun. Maybe we can go to like a bar or like a pub and play some sort of bingo. Maybe just go to Carlton Bingo, guys. Maybe just go to Carlton and just go have fun. It'd be class.
Why
It'd be
not?
really good. Yeah, exactly. That'll be fun. Now, 23rd of March was a very special day for the Society. Arguably, potentially the biggest day in the Society's history was when we announced the sponsorship with Ashurst Advance. Now, I know it's something which myself, Claire, Neil and Ewan sat on for a while whilst we spoke to Ashurst Advance and Carolyn over there and tried to get the deal over the line, and working with the union here in Stirling as well to ultimately just make sure everything was in place. Something which is amazing, not only financially for the Society and letting us kind of push forward with our ideas, but to have a firm as big as Ashurst and their division under Ashurst Advance behind us and sponsoring us. It's a really big milestone. It's something which I'm really proud of. Now, over to you, Claire. Obviously, you're the new president, Ashurst Advance sponsorship. How did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that it's great, like you say, from the financial side, that's obviously brilliant. But I think just having that connection with the team is going to be so valuable. And I think that in Stirling, there is a real kind of mix of people that do want to go down the traditional route and train, and then people that are interested in legal jobs, but not necessarily the traditional solicitor way. And I think that that's something that Ashurst Advance will be able to help us and our members with hugely. And I think it'll be really interesting this year because I find that the people who attend our events it tends to be people that, some people will come along to commercial awareness events, or some people will come along to criminal events. And I think this will really maybe inspire a kind of whole group of new people to come along to our events. And obviously that would be great for us because we're always looking to kind of make the Society for everyone. So yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously myself Neil and you and did a podcast, a short one, just announcing the sponsorship and kind of going into detail about it. So we're not going to go into mega detail about what the sponsorship entails and what we're ultimately looking to do with it. But like Claire says, it's great financially, but also Ashurst Advance as a division, obviously, of Ashurst LLP, I feel like are really very big players in Scotland and in the UK in general in terms of alternative legal careers. You know, you can be a legal analyst, you can be a legal technologist, you go into legal project management. There's a wide variety of different divisions under Ashurst Advance, and when they came to us looking to sponsor us, it was a real delight, and it was really easy to negotiate. It was really easy to work with Carolyn to get it over the line, and it's something which we're really proud of, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we kick on with that over this summer. So we announced that on the 23rd of March, and the next day was the 24th of March, obviously, which was another big day for us, which was the AGM. Now, obviously, we were all there, we were all running, and the three of us were obviously elected. So I'll go to Holly first. How did you find it, Holly? How was your experience of the AGM, and how did you leave the AGM feeling?
So obviously I have quite bad social anxiety, and a kind of anxiety with public speaking as well, but it's not so much in situations like this where it's more relaxed. It's kind of in situations where you have to present and kind of prepare beforehand. So obviously something like an AGM, it's kind of stressful for me. It was playing on my mind a lot running up to it, which is silly in a sense because I knew most of the people that were going to be there, but it just obviously anxiety is quite irrational. So in the lead up to it, I was very nervous, but I did it. I got through it. I got elected, and afterwards, I actually felt really, really good having done it. Because obviously I just think it's good to challenge and push yourself. And one of the girls there, Megan actually, I think her name was, said that she really enjoyed my speech, so that was nice. And I also liked that there was a few new people there, some first years and stuff that we maybe hadn't come across so much before, that put themselves forward for positions. I think especially like with younger years, it's quite a brave thing to do. And obviously a couple of them got elected as well, which is good. But it was just nice to see some new faces there.
Yeah, I definitely echo what you're saying there about the new faces, and it was great to see, like you say, the first years showing out in force. To be honest, there was a lot of first years there running for positions, and it was really great to see that enthusiasm so early on at their time at Stirling. You know, when I think back to my first year, you know, I wasn't really involved with the society at all. I was just really taking my first year to kind of adjust to university life, and to see them kicking on even further and going for spots on the committee, honestly, massive props to them. And yeah, the AGM was great, and I echo what Holly says. Like, for me, it was quite strange because a lot of the positions, and my position as vice president, it was uncontested. So you find yourself, you know, you're there, you know, you're the only person going for it, but you still want to sell yourself, and you're not really too sure, like, should I ramble on for like 10 minutes here and actually really detail what I want to say, or I just do brief points? And it's quite a strange experience, but ultimately we all got elected, so that's great. Now, obviously, I'm not going to neglect the president here, so over to you, Claire. How did you find the AGM?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you both were saying, and I think, like Holly said, it's so good to see engagement from the younger years, because inevitably Holly and I are obviously leaving next year, and then you'll be leaving the year after, Jedd. So it's kind of like you want to be building good relationships with the younger years so that, you know, the legacy lives on. And it's important because they're kind of the most important people at the moment for us. You know, they're the people that we want to show the ropes, and we want to inspire them to kind of just keep innovating and pushing the society further. So I found it really, really good, and I just really enjoyed listening to everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's great that we do have a good amount of first years on the committee. Obviously, they'll be on the committee going into their second year. So, like Claire says, it is really important for us to look at the younger years and kind of bring them through. And then once we sadly graduate, you know, we know the society is going to be in good hands. And no doubt, further down the line over the next year or two, there's going to be other people who pop up in their second or third year who are also going to be equally important. So yeah, the AGM was great, and it's so nice to see the younger years coming through and really stepping up and taking on some real responsibility. So yeah, massive congratulations to everyone who was elected at the AGM. I'm really happy with the committee which we've managed to put together. So on to April, so we're getting towards the end of the semester. the 1st of April was the Clubs and Societies Awards, which we had a somewhat social for, where we watched it along together on a Zoom call. So just going to have a general discussion between the three of us here. I'll kick it over to Holly first of all. How did you find it, Holly? Obviously, you were up for best publicity for the society. How did you find it? And the social as well. How did you find the social? Because I thought it was really interesting watching it together.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was nice that the society got some acknowledgement and recognition. Shout out to Ewan, our president, who was awarded best president. But
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel for some of the categories we maybe didn't get the recognition that we maybe thought we deserved. I'd like to think we deserved. I mean, obviously in my category, I sadly didn't get acknowledged or didn't win. But the social afterwards was definitely enjoyable for me. I mean, personally, we had a little award ceremony ourselves and stuff, and just had drinks and a chat and a nice time, and that means more to me than any recognition from the union, because it just is more personal. Like, I obviously know all you guys so well, and like over that year, even though none of us really had met in person apart from the odd few, like we just were so close and we're all like friends, so it was just nice to like have an evening together and like give out the awards and have some drinks and just have a good time. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really nice.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there, Holly. I think the mini award ceremony which we had as a society afterwards, where myself and Claire put together little certificates for people. I think we had 10 awards to give out to different members, and like you say, that meant a lot for me as well, to just acknowledge people who've put in so much work throughout the toughest academic year to date, in my opinion, and really helped grow the society and progress us forward. And it was so nice to be able to acknowledge them, because obviously we knew we were up for a lot of awards at the Union Clubs and Societies Awards, and you know, we're not naive. We didn't think we were going to have a clean sweep, so we knew we might pick up one or two. Ultimately, like Holly mentioned, Ewan won Best President, which was completely deserved, and obviously we're so proud of him for doing that. And the podcast was up for, I think it's most innovative idea. We got a special mention, honourable mention, or whatever it's called, which was nice. It was nice to get some acknowledgement. I wasn't exactly expecting to win or anything, so it was nice to get even a little bit of acknowledgement. But like Holly mentioned, it was really nice to have the social afterwards, where we're all just friends and we managed to just chat, have a laugh, and give out some awards to some really deserving people. So over to you, Claire. I think you were the mastermind behind the little awards ceremony anyway. So how did you come up with that, and what did it mean to you to be able to acknowledge our members?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it was inspired by the union doing their awards, because I thought, oh, we could do that as well. And like Holly says, I think it's nice because obviously we know each other on a much more personal level. So, you know, the awards were very specific, and I think it means a lot to people to get recognised for things, because I remember one of the awards was, you know, the best attitude in the Sam H challenge and stuff like that. And I think one of my favourite things about the Sam H challenge was the weekly champion and kind of celebrating people. So the awards was just another way to do that, and it's something that I definitely want to try and, you know, carry on through the next year of the society as well. I'm kind of in the process of brainstorming some ideas, like maybe putting a champion of the month in our newsletter, something like that. But I think it means a lot to us when people put work into the society, so I think it's really important to kind of feed that back. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the social was fun. I think, just like you say, it kind of felt like a nice end to the year and just celebration of the work that we'd all put in.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it was a really successful year for us. So to kind of wrap it up with that award ceremony and acknowledge a lot of important, lovely people with the awards, it was just a really nice way to wrap it all up. And we did give out a lot of awards to graduating fourth years, so it's sad to see them go, but I'm glad we could at least give them even just a little award to show them that we appreciate all the work that they've done over the past 6 months or so, and over their full academic studies here at Stirling. So yeah, it was a really good night. Now we're kind of going towards the end here. We've got a few here left. So 15th of April was the trauma awareness event, which was organised by myself. Obviously we've had Melissa on the podcast, as well. So I don't think we need to go into too much detail about it. We spoke about it on the podcast with Melissa, and it was a really well attended event. It was something which I feel like I've mentioned a few times here on the podcast, but something which never really done before. It was a topic which we hadn't really covered, and it meant a lot to me to put it on, because it was something which was kind of given to me, and Melissa approached Khadija Sarwar, who then approached me, and it was just kind of word of mouth that we managed to put the event on. And the speakers that we had were nothing short of inspiring. It was amazing. It was really gripping. I feel like it was one of those events where, you know, it was like an hour and a half Zoom call, and, you know, we're all guilty of kind of nodding off at some points and not really paying attention. But for that call, for the full 90 minutes, I was gripped to my screen, and it was something which you could see across all of the attendees that we were just really interested in what they were saying. And it was something which was really important, and it's something which hopefully we can kick on with in the future, and maybe even invite them back to do another presentation in future as well. So yeah, that was an amazing event. Now, over to Holly, which I think it was special. It was the mindfulness roundtable. I think I'm right in saying this was Holly's first proper organised event. I know we had the different socials and stuff that Holly's organised for us, but in terms of getting an outside speaker, a third party speaker, to come and speak to us, how did you find it, Holly, and how was your kind of first academic sort of event experience? How did you find it?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. Obviously, Claire did a lot of work in terms of promoting mental health as being something which is important to the society, and it is. So I kind of wanted to continue on from all the good work that she's done. So we decided to have just a kind of like a discussion. We didn't want it to be really formal, just about like mindfulness and managing stress and anxiety, because obviously the week which we had it in was the week before the exam period started. So I contacted FADAM, which is Falkirk's Association for Mental Health, and they put me in touch with a woman called Julie, who can't remember her exact job title, but basically she goes to different groups and speaks to them about mental health and how to manage stress and things like that. So she came along and spoke to us for about half an hour, I think, but she was so great. Like, she was so lovely and really like engaging, and she clearly knew like so much about like anxiety and, you know, ways to cope with it. But I actually found it really interesting about, she spoke about why anxiety happens, because for me, like, I've obviously spoke to counsellors and things about how to manage my anxiety, but I've never really learned about why it happens. So I think the fact that she kind of went into a little bit of detail about the science and things behind it first was really interesting. And I think that everyone who came along really enjoyed it. She also provided us with a lot of resources which we sent out, Hayley, our secretary, sent out in the newsletter. So yeah, all in all, I think it was really informative, and I'm really grateful that she took time out of her very, very busy schedule to come along and talk to us.
Yeah, Julie was great. It was a really nice call, and like you say, she spoke to us for roughly about 30 minutes, and she was a lovely person, and not only was she a lovely person, she really knew what she was speaking about, and she took questions from the attendees, and people were asking her about their own experiences with anxiety or stress, and kind of like the symptoms or the tells of when they're feeling anxious or nervous or stressed or whatever it may be. And she just seemed really knowledgeable, and she was really helpful. And I didn't ask any questions myself, but I know people who did, and just her knowledge and she seemed really empathetic, and you could tell that she really wanted to help. You know, it wasn't as if we just dragged her along, she gave a presentation and she left. She really came along to educate us, but also help us as well, and she just came across really, really well. And I think it was a really special event, and something which I thoroughly enjoyed as well. So that was actually our last event which we've had so far. So how we're going to wrap up is, it's the Law Ball. 19th of May is our, sadly, online Law Ball. So I'll go to Claire first. How are we feeling, Claire? Obviously the Law Ball, as far as I'm aware, has never been online before. So what can we expect? How's it going to be?
I'm so excited for it. I think, like you say, it is a shame that it's going to be online, but I think Hayley, our new secretary, has been loving thinking of new ideas of how to do it online, and, you know, it's just going to be a nice way to properly finish off the semester, and everyone's finished exams by then, so we can all have a really nice, you know, relaxed, a few drinks, just to celebrate.
Damn right.
just to celebrate the end of everything. And I think it'll be such a nice way as well to kind of merge like the committee from last year and this year, because there's certain members who've maybe not interacted with each other that much. So I think it's going to be quite a nice event, you know, just for everyone to really have a nice time together. So yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And Hayley's been doing a great job. She's always floating different ideas to us. She's very active on the law ball front, and she's really putting her all into making sure that it's going to be the best event that it can be. I do feel bad for her in the fact that it's going to be online, and I also feel bad for our old secretary Vanessa, who by the way won our Little Miss Sunshine award, which was such a special award because Vanessa was amazing. She was so cheery, she was so helpful, and that award really encapsulated her as a person. And I feel bad for her that she didn't get to have the in-person law ball, which she worked so hard to arrange. But I've no doubt that even though it's going to be online, it's going to be fun. It's a masquerade theme, and if anyone's listening and wants to attend, if you go onto our socials, you can get your tickets there. Obviously, it's all free, and it should be a fun night. So what about you, Holly? How are you feeling about the law ball? Are you excited?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I don't think it's obviously not going to be the same because it is virtual. But I don't know, like, I don't know if it's just me, but like, although it is going to be virtual, like, I do feel quite positive going into it. Like, it is like a celebration of the end of a really difficult year, but it's like we feel like we're coming out of it now. Like, hopefully that might be our, like, we might be able to have more kind of in-person socials in the upcoming year. So like, although it is sad that this law ball is virtual, and I'm sure that I would feel differently if this was my final year, like, I do feel really hopeful about what's to come. For the first time in a while, like, I'm just quite positive. It seems like things are getting better in terms of like restrictions easing and stuff. So I just think that hopefully it'll be easier as the year progresses.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I'm feeling more positive about where we're heading in the near future over the summer as well. And hopefully, fingers crossed, not even just fingers, everything crossed, that this is going to be the last event which we're kind of forced to have online. I'm not, obviously down the line we're still going to have some events on Zoom or whatever it may be, because it's just convenient and it's easier to get speakers and stuff along. But in terms of actually not having the option to have it in person, I'm really hopeful this is going to be the last time that happens. Fingers crossed, like I say, because it would need to be a tragic turn of events for that not to happen. But yeah, I think it's still going to be fun. It's going to be another nice evening spent with our members, and I'm really looking forward to it. And like Claire mentioned, we'll all be finished exams by then. I can't say I've thought much past the 14th of May because that's when my last exam is. Obviously, I'm deep in exam revision right now, so it's kind of hard to see past that. But by the time the 19th of May comes around, I'm really looking forward to it, and it'll be just a nice way to wrap up the whole academic year. So yeah, that's us, guys. That's us finished. That's our full academic semester since the end of January. It's crazy because I know I mentioned to Holly and Claire prior to coming on the podcast today that, you know, the first event of the semester was the CV application workshop with Ashurst Advance, and that, to me, that feels like it was at least 6 months ago, but the fact it was only 3 and a bit months ago is crazy. So it just shows how much we've done throughout this year, and I know the two of you will be feeling the same, but I'm so ready to have a break over the summer and just come back rejuvenated again in the August-September time. So yeah, I'll go to Holly first. You can say your goodbyes just now, but thank you, Holly, for coming on. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks, Jedd. I mean, I've been a regular on the podcast over this semester. You're probably all sick of hearing my voice, but no, it's been so much fun, and I've actually I've found it really great in terms of like my confidence. Like, I would never before have been like, I've thought I would be able to like just sit and chat and have it go out to lots of people to listen to, but yeah, it's been great, and I've really enjoyed being on the committee with everyone. And yeah, I'm just so looking forward to the next year. It's going to be great. Yeah,
you've been a staple on the show, Holly. I've lost count how many times you've been on now, but it's always a delight to have you on. Like I said, you always speak very well, and I know we have jokes off camera about you. You'll be a co-host. You can take some of the interviews off my hands. I'll take a little bit of a break, but no, it's always great to have you on, and you've done an amazing job over these past 6 months or so. So it's great to be working with you again next year as well. So over to you, Claire. You can say your goodbyes, but again, thank you for coming on. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I think just very excited for next year, and a big well done to you, Jedd, for the podcasts, because I think they've been keeping
Thank you.
everyone going through these tough lockdown times, and it's been a really nice way of kind of engaging with the society aside from events. I think it's been a really nice way for people to engage with us, so massive props to you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Obviously, this is the 15th episode, so to get 15 episodes out, I think we started start of November or mid-November time. So yeah, to get that many episodes out in 6 months or so, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's something which I've really enjoyed doing. And again, I echo what Holly said. It's really built my own confidence, because I was obviously nervous starting a podcast, speaking for 30-40 minutes sometimes, and having people listen to it is quite a scary thing to think about, but it's really built my own confidence. I feel like I'm a better speaker because of it, and ultimately it's helped me in my capacity on committee to present events and just network with professionals in general. But yeah, it's been great. A massive thank you to all of our listeners over the past 6 months or so, everyone who's took the time to even listen to fractions of one episode. It's massively appreciated. The success of the podcast in its first year has been sensational, something I'm really proud of, and I'm really grateful for everyone who takes the time out to listen and interact and even give positive feedback as well. We've had a lot of good feedback for the podcast, both from students, listeners, and guests as well. So it's been great, very rewarding. And like I said at the start, looking forward to a bit of a break over the summer. So the podcast is going to be placed on hold for a couple of months until the start of, towards the start of the new academic year, probably towards August, September time, which, yeah, will be great. Looking forward to season 2 of the podcast, which is very exciting to say. But yeah, first and foremost, looking forward to taking a bit of chill time over the summer, have a couple months off from the podcast, try and relax a little bit, and come back refreshed and rejuvenated for next year. So thanks again, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and I will speak to you all at the tail end of the summer. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of our podcast. If you like what you hear, please follow us on your podcast platform of choice to ensure that you never miss an upload. To keep up to date with us, you can follow our Instagram page, which is Star Law Society. Additionally, our Twitter is @_Star Law Society. In the meantime, it's goodbye from me, and I'll speak to you again very soon.